You're getting an early dual rule update this month because we are having the check-in stream this Saturday, December 18th, instead of next Saturday because we believe for some reason a lot of people might be busy on December 25th. So, what's going on? Our plan was that before this live stream we would have finished rewriting our first halves of the story. Matilda is doing well on that. I'm doing okay. It's December 14th and I'm on page 89, although I haven't written yet today. I'm not sure how many pages total it's going to be. I aimed for 110 pages, but then I've removed a section, which I'll talk about a little later, and so now it's probably going to be less. Either way, I'm doing pretty okay. Since last time, I have changed Nium's ground trial, which we talked about in the last video. I talked about in the last video and we brainstormed during the stream. It's now an underground labyrinth where he has to get past a number of obstacles to get out of it, and I really like it. It's a lot better than what I had before. I have also written his fire trial, which is comparatively simple, and I've written his plant trial, which is also really good. I really like that too. I had to go back and change things a few times to get that right, but I think I've got a good thing going now. Nium spends 5 days with the nomads of Inferno Valley, which means I need to know a lot more about these nomads than I currently do. So that's something I want to talk about on Saturday. I have now written that they keep a very close eye on the valley and everything that happens in it, which means that they are aware of the trials that happen there, and they tend to be around to observe, although they don't make themselves known. But they don't really care about the trial as such, or who manages or not, and I don't know how much they know about the heirs and the fact that only some of them are related to the ruler and all of that. Anyway, I really like the nomads, especially the healer that Nium spends a lot of time with while he's there. He's really sweet. After the ground trial, Nium heads up to the mountain to do the metal trial. He is shot at by guards but manages to get away from them, but then he falls into a trap. He finds a cave with a fire pit and some wood to burn, and he doesn't really think, so he burns it, and there's something in it that makes him fall asleep. So he wakes up in chains, and there are royal guards there who basically tell him that kill us if you like, you don't have the metal power yet, so you can't get out of those chains. And also, if you make a wrong move, we will kill you because we don't have to bring you back alive. So that's fun. What he does is that he traps them in roots using his plant power, and then he finds a weak link in the chains and pulls that apart, also using his plant power. He only gets one arm free, the other arm and his legs are still chained together, so he uses his air powers to run away, and he basically ends up in the metal trial, still in chains. So his first part of the metal trial is to get out of the chains, which he does using his fire powers. Then the second part is freeing Tev the dragon, who must have been in that mountain for the 5 days that Nium spent with the nomads, and I feel very sorry for him. The third part of the metal trial is the same as before. If you don't remember, it's not overly important. It's a room with a bunch of locks, and he has to think outside the box to figure out how to get out of there because the locks are a distraction. He gets out of the metal trial, has the metal powers, and he and Tev fly away. I'm removing a thing here where Tev brought him to Inferno Valley in the last version to look for Lid, because now Nium sleeps right after the metal trial and Tev goes to Inferno Valley on his own then, before coming back to Nium. And then I ran into problems, because Nium was supposed to go to Norport and do research, but I really can't remember what kind of research he was supposed to do. Like, I don't know what he doesn't already know that he needs to know. You know? I did a bit of brainstorming and then I asked in the Discord if anyone remembered or had any ideas what Nium should be doing in Norport, or if I should just skip it. Matilda's the only one who's answered so far, and she said that maybe skipping it would be a good option, so I'm now writing it as if he doesn't go to Norport, and if it turns out that it's needed after all, I'll just add it later. Also something to discuss on Saturday. That's where I'm at. Nium is now heading towards the electricity trial, which is where this draft will end, and I'm hoping to have that done by Saturday. I've also started playing a bit with the map, making some indications of the state of Inferno Valley, like where there is plant, ground, or fire, and maybe if we have time on Saturday, we will look at that too. I'm not sure we'll have that time though, because I have two more things that I want to discuss on Saturday that I haven't mentioned yet. They are both world building related, and the first one is regarding the rulers. So the two rulers have always been one of the royal family and one commoner. But what if the royal ruler wasn't always of the same family, just a child of one of the previous rulers? So we have a royal ruler and a common ruler, but the next royal heir could be the child of the common ruler just as well as the current royal one. The reason we've given as to why there are supposed to be two rulers is that the royal ruler provides continuity. They grew up in the court and know their way around it, plus knows things about ruling, whereas the common ruler grew up as one of the people and provides that perspective. But what if it wasn't one family that was chosen as the royal one? The continuity in it could be simply that one of the next generation's ruler would be born into the role and learn it from a young age, not necessarily coming from a generation of rulers, because that wouldn't really matter for their personal knowledge of how ruling works. And the reason I'm thinking about this is that if that's the case, the ruler who sank Shardmere did it because they wanted their own family to be the important one. They didn't want to risk the other ruler's children to steal the throne from their own children. So they killed that ruler and their family, making sure that their own children were the only options for royal heirs. And then that had to go on, because if there was ever another common ruler who had kids, then their dynasty would be broken. I think that adds a bit of evilness to the whole thing, which we definitely need, because it wasn't evil enough before. I don't know if I'm making things too complicated. I really like it. Let me know in the comments and or on Saturday what you think about it, if you agree or disagree. The other thing I wanted to talk about, are dragons a bad omen? I've had the thought that maybe the gods don't like dragons for one reason or another, and that's part of the reason why there aren't any anymore. If so, I'm wondering if maybe there's a prophecy, like when dragons appear, the gods will die or something, and so part of the reason why the gods turned Tev into a dragon is to bring this message to the people. Dragons are back, the gods are leaving. Because we did say that Lyd and Nium are the last rulers to go through the quest. The gods are about to release their hold over this land and leave. I don't know if this works. We haven't said when the dragons disappeared. I've written about someone a couple hundred years ago, around the time that shapeshifters were driven from the mainland, who traded in dragon scales. I can change that, or they could be scales from already dead dragons, or that was the time when both dragons and shapeshifters were finally driven from the land. Although that is long after Shardmere sank, and we said that the gods sort of stepped back after that happened and haven't been very communicative since then, so maybe dragons should have been gone longer because of reasons. I don't know. It was a thought, which I would like to discuss on Saturday and or hear your opinions on in the comments below. So, on Saturday, apart from what I just said, the nomads in Inferno Valley. Who are they? What do they know? A bit about their culture. I'm not sure how much world building needs to be made and how much I just need to tell you what I've written now and get a yay or nay on what you think about that. Also, should Nium go to Norport or not? And if he does, what does he do there? That is Saturday, December 18th, 1 p.m. UTC on Matilda's channel. If the stream is scheduled, I will link it below. Otherwise, Matilda's channel is linked below, so keep an eye out there. Thank you for watching. Be safe. I hope to see you Saturday.